All right, UFC 313 in the books, and we have a new light heavyweight champion. As you said, as AJ said on the last episode, it's big Ank season, and
Yep. We gave it a day to record and let it sit in for all the people that were still in disbelief that couldn't come to terms with the fact that Magomed Ankalaev is our new light heavyweight champ.
AJ,
Whether
I
you
think
like,
AJ, I think you're one of maybe the 6 or 7 people that are truly happy about this and like excited about the
I'm,
Ankalaev era
I'm
at light
probably because I'm a
heavyweight.
big Ankalaev fan. It's just like one, my prediction was right. I knew he's gonna beat Pereira, and it's like I'm not a huge Ankalaev fan, but it's like I called it. I have that elite knowledge, and I knew he was gonna beat Pereira.
Fair enough. But yeah, Anu Ankalaev wins via unanimous decision. There were a bunch of people out in the media that had scored it for Pineda when they saw it live. I know Ariel Hawani scored it live for him and a few others. But that being said, I think the right man won. Ankalaev. The funniest thing actually I saw right before I break it down a little bit, AJ. The funniest thing I saw on social media that night was it was I forget which which Instagram account I saw it from, but it was just like and the new light heavyweight champion Mario Batista.
Yeah,
Um, just based off of Uncle Ive's performance. And getting into that, yeah, it wasn't the most exciting. It didn't make Uncle Ive, at least from my perspective, look like a world beater or look like that he could be untouchable in this division. Um, but he did put it all together. He had the bigger moments on the feet, especially with that last punch that he landed in round two that wobbled Pineda a little bit. And outside of that, it seemed like, at least on my end, it seemed like Alex was just a little bit timid, a little bit too hesitant when it comes to letting his hands go based off of the threat that Ankalaev has with the takedowns. The leg kicks were working for Pineda. He was chopping up that lead leg of Ankalaev whenever he was in the southpaw stance. But outside of that, Pineda wasn't able to land anything too significant, and Magomed was able to hold him up against the fence. I will say one thing that's impressive is that Pineda went 12 for 12 on defending takedowns, which no one would have thought would have happened if you would have said Magomed Ankalaev's going to shoot 12 takedowns and he's not going to land any of them. So that's kind of what people are upset about is that with the way that the fight went and the lack of entertainment to speak, a lot of people are upset that essentially Pineda is getting punished for not letting Ankalaev do something, and in a sense, Magomed Ankalaev's getting rewarded for failing to land takedowns. Um, that being said, it's still, I mean, control time against the fence. No matter how boring it is or isn't, it's gonna look good for the judges. Whoever's on, whoever's up against the fence, it's not gonna look good for them. So like I said, I think the right guy won. I had it 3-2. I think 4-1. I think anyone who had it 4-1 is kind of ludicrous. I think rounds 1 and 5 were clearly Pineda, and then rounds 2, 3, and 4 were pretty evidently Magomed Ankalaev. But round three is the one that a lot of people were debating. It was very close just because not that much happened on either side. But yeah, got a new light heavyweight champion. What did you think of the fight?
um, I thought I thought it was actually kind of crazy. Like I had picked Magomed to win, but I didn't expect him to walk down Pereira and like make Pereira back up the whole fight. I thought that was crazy. That Magomed was. I mean, he was pretty much in control the whole. Even when it wasn't on the fence, he was controlling the pace of the fight. And um, I thought it was really. Alex Pereira didn't look bad. He looked good. This was a boring fight, I will say. But Pereira still looked good. Uh, I mean, he never fought anyone at light heavyweight like Magomed Ankalaev. If only someone would have called it. If only someone would have said that Magomed Ankalaev can stand with Pereira on the feet. If only someone would have said that, Preston. Oh wait, I think someone did say that, and someone was me, and I was right. Um, so I just thought that was pretty crazy. Not crazy because I knew it was gonna happen. Um, but I had it going into the fifth round. I had it 3-1, and then gave it last round to Pereira. So I like when they were up there, I was like, oh, yeah, Magomed definitely won. Uh, for what's next, I know people want the rematch, and they've said they'll do the rematch, but I don't like that. I don't want the rematch.
Um, I think the rematch is gonna happen. That's what I think is going to happen. And off of what you said, with you thinking Pereira did look good in the fight, I I don't disagree with that one bit. I don't think he looked old, or I don't think he looked um I guess fatigued or anything like that until the later rounds, but I think he was just a little bit more hesitant based off the threat of the takedown. Um, that being said, that performance by both men didn't make me feel like Pereira can't beat Ankalaev. I think in a rematch, if Pereira makes a few adjustments, picks up his pace a little bit in that forward pressure, I think he very well could land on Ankalaev. And it's not a fight that I think is unwinnable for Pereira based off of what we saw on Saturday night. So that's what I got out of it from that standpoint. But off of like what should be next, like I said, it will end up being the rematch. But the argument is, if Pereira, let's say Pereira gets the rematch, let's say he wins, right, and then they're 1-1. Then we're just back to where we were on Friday night before he fought Ankalaev, which is he kind of cleared out the division, not really much anyone else to fight, and we're still just talking about heavyweight. So, in my opinion, what I would rather see is him just go up to heavyweight now, either fight the winner of John versus Tom, that hopefully happens this summer. Um, and if John ends up taking too long, or if any John Jones activity seems to take place and he for some reason gets stripped, um, just have Tom's first title defense as undisputed be against Pereira. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I just feel like with the rematch, while it would be warranted and I wouldn't have necessarily a problem with it, I think in a sense we're sort of delaying what we know is coming with heavyweight. We've always talked about Alex Pereira at heavyweight. Um, Even whenever he was first going up to 205, it was always something that was in the back of our mind. So, and just the opportunity to get a third belt. I don't think it's gonna matter who it's against. I don't think Pineda's gonna be picky about only wanting to fight John Jones or whoever else. Just the opportunity to get a third belt, I think, is too great no matter who the opponent is. So I would rather see heavyweight come first, but depending on the timeline of Tom and John, I could see why the rematch would make more sense, because Alex is someone who likes to stay active. And I mean, coming off of this performance against Ankalaev, he said it. He even said it. He said, "I'm going to be back in the gym in about 2 to 3 days and get back to work." And he didn't take a crazy amount of damage outside of that second round punch. So that's what I would like to see. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's just like if they rematch, well, either Ankalaev beats him again, and then he moves up to heavyweight at 40 years old, and it's like too late, or Pereira beats him, and again we're like, okay, well, what's next? Carlos Ulberg, Khalil Roundtree again, but he's moved up in rankings one
And
spot.
Magomed, and let's make it be clear, Magomed Ankalaev's not a guy that the UFC is gonna give a trilogy fight to.
Yeah, no. So it's like there's not much at light heavyweight. Even if he wins the belt, I just move to heavyweight, save that division, just like he saved the light heavyweight division. And with my light heavyweight, there's now so many new matchups. Like I think the perfect matchup now instead of Pereira would be Yuri Prohaska.
I
I think
agree.
that's I think that's such a great fight stylistically, and it's so like I think Magomed and Kalai would have actual trouble with Yuri Prohaska
Yeah,
with
I
the way
don't think Yuri. Sorry, go ahead.
with just the way Yuri fights. I think Ankalaev would struggle with him.
Yeah, I don't think Yuri would be as, let's say, tentative or as hesitant on the feet as Alex would. I mean, Yuri, we all have watched Yuri fight. He doesn't back up much.
He doesn't
Um,
care. He doesn't care, bro.
he,
He's just throwing big meaty hooks, trying to knock you out.
and it works most of the time unless your name is Alex Pereira. That's the thing.
Yeah,
So I'd be curious. Magomed would open as a favorite on that, I'm sure, just because of the wrestling pedigree that he has. But yeah, I
but
mean, a
Yuri can
fight with
wrestle too.
yeah,
He
Yuri
has
can
some.
wrestle. He's got sneaky good grappling. He showed it in the Glover Teixeira fight.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would absolutely love that. But that being
But
said, as I said before, go ahead.
I was gonna say for Pereira, I would rather see him fight one guy before, maybe like Cyril Gahn or Volkov, just to see kind of where he's at with those guys. And then I think he could beat those guys, so then move up and fight Tom or John.
I wouldn't be upset at that idea, but at the same time, I just find that to be very unrealistic with the star power that Pereira has. I mean, he's a guy that is now at the point in his UFC career where he's no matter what card he's on, he's gonna be a main event. He is. I mean, like even with this loss to Ankalaev, I don't think he lost much stock. Like everyone still views him as a terrifying kickboxer who they love to watch. He has the funny personality. Um, so as far as like his aura per se or his stock, I don't think he lost much, even though he lost his title. Um, I think he's someone that I think he's one of those few people in the UFC that doesn't need a belt in a sense, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So as much as as realistic um as unrealistic as I think that is, I just I think it's a title fight or bust when it comes to heavyweight.
Yeah. It's always in the picture, but I think we both agree though. I just think light heavyweight. I think it should be done. I think he needs to go up, save heavyweight, give Tom and John, especially Tom, real people to fight instead of these random fat dudes that he's beating up on. Um, and I see that's the move.
Yeah, we'll see
Oh,
how it ends up. I still think what's going to end up happening is the rematch, which I'll still be excited for with the storyline and seeing how he'll adjust. But we shall see. Moving on, co-main event, lightweight. Justin Gaethje is back. He beats Fiziev for a second time. And honestly, this fight kind of it was a little bit different with Fiziev's approach, especially, but with the way that the rounds went, it kind of played out exactly like the first fight did. I mean, Fiziev won round one. He
mm-hmm.
looked a little bit faster on the feet, and he landed two takedowns in the first round, which no one expected, and almost pulled off like a reverse triangle, um, which would have been insane. And then you saw Gaethje turn it up in round two, got the knockdown off of that vicious uppercut, and then round three gave me flashbacks of how the third round of their fight in 2023 went. Um, Fiziev started fast in the third round. He was doing a lot of damage, especially to the body with those body kicks. He was landing the cleaner shots. Um, and then Gaethje towards that halfway and a little bit past that halfway mark of that third round, turned it up. He was starting to show the cardio that he had with the full camp compared to Fiziev. Fiziev's kind of seemed like after that blitz he started with in the third round, he started to fade out a little bit, and then I guess just the look of how Fiziev looked versus how Gaethje looked gave the judges sort of the vibe that Gaethje was winning that round. Um, Watching it live, I scored it for Gaethje. This was another really close fight, though. I mean, the third round, it seemed like half of the round Fiziev was up, and then the next half Gaethje was. So Gaethje just did it at the end and looked fresher, in my opinion. So I think that's why he got the nod.
Yeah, watching it, I also just thought Gaethje looked better. Even in that first round, even though Fiziev did win, Gaethje still looked pretty good. He was able to get out of some of the grappling that Fiziev was throwing up. And I thought I thought it was a great comeback from when we last saw Gaethje. It was a great way to come back into the octagon after the performance that he put up last time.
Remind everyone who he is.
Yeah. Not to be rude, but I really don't know how Gaethje was the underdog um, in this fight. That kind of baffles me. But it was a good fight. I mean, one fight of the night. I thought it was entertaining. Um, I was super excited for it. Uh, as for what's next, I mean, I think I know what's going to happen.
There's a very real possibility he gets a title shot.
Gaethje will. I'm so sure Ali will. They're gonna feed Gaethje to Islam per se.
There is a real chance that that happens because I think right now with lightweight, Armin's not getting a title shot because of pulling out last minute against Islam. So I think they do Armin and Charles too. I think that'll be some sort of co-main event on hopefully a John Jones and Tom Aspinall on the card, but we'll see. Um, so I think they do that, and then after that, I think they're going to do Poirier and Max, and then depending on,
I think they do Poirier to Poirier.
I don't think they feed. I don't think they want to feed to Poirier and in Poirier's retirement fight.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Poirier still got a shot. He's a big lightweight. He's borderline welterweight. So,
But yeah, as far as what's next for Gaethje, I feel like him and honestly, depending on how Toporia's lightweight debut goes, I mean, whether he gets a title shot, whether he gets booked against someone else, um, I feel like it's either title shot for Gaethje or he's just gonna wait a little bit while the rest of lightweight works itself out because Gaethje's also a guy that's like very vocal about not being that active. He's always for the last few years he's always talked about I'm in that position now being in the title picture all the time to where I only fight like once or twice a year and he's very okay with that. So he's not going to be someone that's going to be in any rush to get back in there. So with that being said, it very well could end up being a title shot for him maybe later in the summer or maybe Abu Dhabi depend but or he might just have to wait on the sidelines a little bit because Ilya gets a title shot.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I
we'll
agree. But
see.
I feel like the title shot is coming for Gaethje. They're gonna feed him to Islam, make quick work. As for Fiziev,
I think Fiziev's stocks goes. I think his stock still goes up in this. I mean, he took it on 2 weeks' notice. He
did
looked good, and I still think he's going to get a fun matchup, a fun ranked matchup, potentially with someone ranked ahead of him at lightweight. My top option would be Fiziev versus Hanato Moicano.
yeah, I like that. But the only thing about it was Fiziev is now on a 3-fight losing streak. I think he's lost 3 in a row. But he's still a very fun fighter to watch. And even if he won and beat Gaethje, I don't think no one was going to be ready. I don't think no one thinks Fiziev can make a run to the title. But I think he can still make fun matchup with him. The matchup I would do actually is right here with Ignacio Bahamondes. I think that would be a good matchup. Maybe Bahamondes can get in the rankings. He's not in the rankings yet.
He will be. He will be tomorrow. Jalen Turner was ranked number 13 in the division before this fight, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
So yeah, we'll get to you in a minute, buddy. But yeah, I think that's a fun fight to make.
Yeah, I'd be down with either. I mean, there's a bunch of fun fights that Fiziev can get put into, and then just kind of like I said with his stock, I think his stock still goes up a tad bit, even though with the loss, just because I mean, you look at his last 3 fights. He's technically on a 3-fight scale, obviously. This fight took it on 2 weeks' notice against the number 3 guy in the world. Looked good. It was a razor close decision. Some people actually scored it for him because of the damage he did early in the third round. Fight before this, he blows his knee out against I believe it was Gamrot. Um, and obviously that's nothing he can do about that. And then the fight before that was again Justin Gaethje, another close fight against one of the guys at lightweight. So it doesn't feel like Fiziev in his career is necessarily like fading or he doesn't look old because he's not. So I still think his stock goes up, and I still think he gets. I still think he gets a good opportunity at lightweight after this.
Yeah, I agree. Good fight. Hopefully, get him back soon. The next fight on the card: Jalen Turner and Ignacio Bahamondes. Bahamondes got it done
Not
with
how we expected it to go.
with the
Triangle.
triangle. Jalen Turner, man, welcome to the GFL. Uh, that was crazy. I mean, I don't know. He literally, it was so crazy to watch. He gets in the triangle, gets out of the triangle,
And then
and
puts
then
himself back in.
willingly puts himself back into the triangle. I have no idea what the thought process there was. And then he lost. What? That's his second loss in a row, and then decides
He's
he's like,
one
all
and
right.
four. He's 1-4 in his last 5.
Oh well, okay, yeah, he does that, and he's like, all right, I'm done. Just retires.
At 29
Doesn't
years
even
old.
that 29 years old didn't even say anything. Like, I don't even did they even give him the mic?
No, because they don't give the mic out to the loser in a situation in a 3-round fight like that. But he went up to John Morgan over in the press section of the audience and was basically just like cutting off his glove in front of them and was like, "Yeah, I'm done. Like I'm retiring." And then he did a few backstage interviews. I think it may have just been one. He got asked about the decision of his retirement, and he was actually choking up a little bit, talking about how this is something that he had been thinking about since UFC 300. Of course, whenever he had that debacle against Hanato Moicano, um, obviously he knocked Moicano down, should have ended the fight, walked away instead, and then got wasted in the next round. Um, so it's something that had been sort of luring on his mind for months now. And I mean, whenever you got someone coming in thinking about retirement already, they don't necessarily put on the best performances. And we saw it here with Jalen Turner. I mean, this is the guy 2, 3 years ago that we looked at. He was on like a 5 fight finish streak. And after that submission he had of Brad Riddell, we were thinking of this guy as he could be one of the next guys at lightweight. He could be someone that could really beat a lot of people. And then he, of course, loses to Hooker, loses to Moicano, he loses to a few others. And now we're looking at Jalen Turner, 14-9. And yeah, he's apparently retiring. So I wonder how long, or if it'll actually last. And if it doesn't, how long it'll take for him to want to strap back up and see what he can do in the UFC more. But yeah, just weird situation. I mean, he's still so young, and when you watch Jalen Turner, I mean, obviously he's young. You still see talent in him. Like he's got crisp striking. He's a good grappler. He just hasn't been able to put it together. I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe it's crazy to think about. Jalen Turner retires before guys like Anthony Smith, Tony Ferguson, uh, Wonder Boy. So crazy to think about.
I mean,
But
yeah, we've got Chris Weidman retiring from the UFC in the same year as Jalen Turner. Like
it's so crazy. Jose Aldo technically is
Jose
still
Aldo's still in the UFC, still
before
with
Jalen.
CI.
That's crazy. Bahamondes, great performance. Gets ranked now, and like I said, maybe he should fight Fiziev, fight up. Really good guy. The next fight, I was told not to say how I described this fight. Preston knows how I feel about this fight. Possibly,
Um,
we got a
let me just
early contender for worst fight of the year.
yeah, not much went on in this fight. It was Amanda Lemos looked clearly better throughout the entirety of the fight. Lucindo may have won the third round, but overall, Lemos just looked like the better fighter, had way more experience. So good on
Only if
Amanda
someone would have
Lemos.
said that there was levels and that the competition was there and that she would show levels. But
As she did.
hey, yeah, this fight happened.
We move on.
Move on. Possibly early, early contender for
I'm
knockout of the
stamping it.
year.
I'm stamping it right now. That is the knockout of the year. I don't care what happens the rest of this year,
We have to
unless
say something crazy.
unless Tom Aspinall spinning back fist John Jones into the stratosphere. This
Yeah,
is the knockout of the year. I
yeah,
was not watching the UFC back in the UFC 100 days when Edson Barbosa landed his iconic wheel kick. But that being said, this is the cleanest spinning wheel kick I've ever seen in my life. Um, he faked it with the left hook. He hit it with throwing his left hook out and then spun around, landed clean on King Green's chin, and
No, it was on the temple, bro.
yeah, it was on the temple. You're right. And yeah, fighting
Hey,
nerds are
I told you
they're
they
here,
have bar
they're here
armor.
to stay.
I took the under on Roofy's parlay hit, by the way, guys. $227. But took the under on Roofy's strikes. It was like 48.5. He landed 4. Good call by me. But yeah, that was insane to watch. Sitting there, I mean, the entire bar I was at just went crazy. Um, I have to agree with Preston here. The cleanest heel kick I've ever seen. I was not expecting that. Colded, slumped King Green.
I was
I mean,
shocked at how fast King Green stood up after looking as
yeah, I thought he was gonna be out a lot
unconscious as he
longer
looked.
because he was like slumped, folding on the ground. I was
Face
like, oh,
down.
God. And then he just stood right back up. I was like, oh. But yeah, I mean, the fighting nerds are here. This is the like I said earlier, the second coming of Conor McGregor in Brazil
He
form.
does kind of give Connor vibes. He does. With his
Um,
fighting stance, with his diversity of strikes, um, he does give off Connor vibes for sure. That being said, for King Green, he's now 0-2 since changing his name to King. Um,
both finished in both fights.
in the first round, unfortunately for King Green.
Being cautious in both rounds too. Also,
So yeah, with King Green, I think it's time to if he stays in the UFC, which I could very well see happening. I think it's time to stop putting him against um the guys that are coming up in the rankings that are younger. I think it's time to put him in some more veteran savvy fights.
I'm gonna put a
Um,
ship into the apex, man. It's
yeah, maybe some
so
Apex
crazy.
cards, but King Green can still
After
be
this,
entertaining.
King Green didn't even retire before Jalen Turner did. After on this
Yeah,
card,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's crazy.
yeah,
Um,
it's wild.
yeah, I don't know. Give him. I think he should call it quits though. Uh, if not, I mean, yeah, just Apex. But welcome to the Apex, buddy. Mauricio Rufy though. Hey, um,
He did call out Benil Dariush.
I was gonna say Benil Dariush. I like that fight.
I don't mind that one bit. I
I feel
mean,
bad feeding Benny to feeding Benny to Rufy, but
Benny's in that spot though where he's gonna get one of those young upcoming guys because like he's been a little bit inactive. He was supposed to fight not too long ago, and that obviously got canceled. There's a bunch of names you could put Rufy against. I think Benoit Saint Denis would be fun. I think Grant Dawson would be fun. I think Faziev would be fun, although I don't think they want to do that right now. And then Dariush sitting at number 9 in the rankings, I very well could see Rufy getting that spot. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where they go with it. Obviously, we've got Patty at 12 booked with Chandler. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of good options for Rufy, but all in all, fighting nerds, they're just all they do is win, seemingly, and they're just all so fun to watch.
yeah, I love that camp. Also wanted to shout out, which is not on here.
Joshua
Joshua
Van.
Van,
Shout out Joshua Van. Rank Joshua Van.
literally. Also got that fight right off camera. I did. Um, I like Joshua Van. Um, he looked good against.
They call him the 125 Max Holloway.
Yeah, he looked really good. So hopefully see him more soon. But all in all, 313. See
Good
what else
card.
is up. Good card. I like this card. Um,
That Diaz and Santos fight was really fun.
yeah. Some people say robbery. Okay, well I guess we can't go to the preliminary card. There we go. Joshua Van, Bruno Ferreira. That was Petrosian, man. at his record, like 9-5. Come on, bro. Yeah, you're out of here, buddy.
Carlos Lil starching
Carlos
Morono
Hill.
in the first round. Morono's been on a little bit of a losing streak here in the last few fights, and then the robbery that was on the card was actually Marion Santos versus Francis Marshall. A lot of people thought that
Oh yeah, no,
Marshall won, and
there's no way Marshall didn't win this.
there's actually video of Rogan in the octagon as the decision was being called, and whenever it was Santos that was announced as the winner, Rogan was just sitting at the mic like just wide eyed as can be. So all
Yeah,
in all, I'll give UFC 13 a good like 7.5, 8 out of 10. It was a really fun card. A lot of the fights produced, and obviously we had a good bit of name value at the top. So really great card, and we've
we're
got some
we're
fight
in a
nights.
new we're in a new era now.
We are big and
Big Ink is here. Um, I don't know what else to say about that. Also I want to point out best predictor on YouTube. I went 5 for 5 on the main card. It's that easy. Uh, but the one thing I want to point out about Ankalaev is that I don't like people are mad at him, but now they're coming around and being fans of Marab when they do the same thing, except Ankalaev striking is better. And I feel like we need to stop with this thing that goes on where when a fighter beats your favorite fighter by decision, it's automatically a robbery, no matter what. It's a robbery. No, it's not. Ankalaev, I think it was close, but I think he clearly won that fight.
I thought it was 3-2.
Yeah. Ankalaev won. But yeah. Also want to point out, where is it at? Right here, UFC Fight Night Heel Roundtree. We will be in attendance for that, and hopefully we'll get a vlog in for you guys, and we'll produce some more content while we're there at this fight night that I'm pretty excited for.
Yeah, sneaky good fight night. You got a lot of names. Anthony Smith retirement fight, Matt Schnell. You got Randy Brown, Rude Boy, Giga Chikadze.
Peta,
So yeah, that should be fun, and we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll break down the next fight night card on the next pod. So till then, see y'all.